Good morning, everyone, and welcome to February's Pitchmasters workshop session. Really thrilled to be here today. My name is Lisa Friedlander. I'm the CRO of Next, powered by Shulman Rogers, as well as My Next Raise. Together, we are changing the way that startups access legal and fundraising services. Pitchmasters is just one of several monthly webinars and virtual events that we offer on a regular basis. And we're excited to have two amazing entrepreneurs today practicing their pitch. So Thaddeus, that being said, I'm going to turn it over to you. Feel free to share your screen and get started. I will time you just so that you have the information of how long the pitch is. But again, since there's just two of you guys here today, we can be a little bit more lax on time. So feel free to get started whenever you're ready.
Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
We can. Looks great.
All right. Good morning. My name is Thaddeus Hubbard, and my company is called Smarter Statements. So quite simply, Smarter Statements' mission is to democratize financial literacy by making financial statements accessible and actionable for small businesses at a middle school level. And this will enable them to make informed decisions without needing specialized financial knowledge. So here's a problem. There's three problems, actually. Small to medium-sized businesses lack the financial understanding and the financial literacy to understand financial statements. This causes a problem. They make misinformed decisions. So 40% of all small businesses fail within 3 years. And out of that 40%, 82% of these businesses fail because of lack of understanding of cash flow and poor cash flow. And there are no local, accessible, affordable or scalable solutions to this problem until Smarter Statements. So Smarter Statements addresses this issue by using AI to provide a user-friendly platform that explains financial statements to small and medium-sized businesses at a middle school level. And by retaining the user's financial information month to month, we offer continuous and personalized insights that simplify financial management for a monthly fee. All right, so here's a market opportunity. So small and medium-sized businesses lack the financial literacy to understand their financial statements, and they need them explained to them on a basic level, and I say at a middle school level. It takes out all the financial jargon. But these companies don't have the money to afford a CFO full-time or even a fractional CFO. Most of them don't even know what a fractional CFO is. And their bookkeepers are just recording their financial information, and they use their accountants as tax compliance. So there's nobody giving them the information that they need to run their business. And we see this market for small and medium-sized businesses using financial technology only to grow because there's demand for this. So here's our business model. The business owners can access our services at a pay-per-use, a subscription level, and a white label level. And quite simply, the business owners upload their income statements, balance sheet, and statement of cash flows to our website for analysis. And our value proposition is Smarter Statements simplifies financial statements using AI, which makes the complex financial statements easy to understand. Our service helps small business owners without financial expertise and lacking the financial literacy to gain clarity about their business operations. And it also gives accountants and financial advisors another powerful tool to enhance their client services. And with our unique continuity feature, which remembers information month to month, the clients and the business advisors, the business owners can gain insight and stay informed and engaged with the information. So there's 4 tiers of service, really 5, but we'll leave out the pay-per-use. It's pretty simple. For the subscription model, there's a basic, a mid, and a premium. Across all 3 business models, there is a continuity that the app remembers your information from one month to the other. At the mid tier, It benchmarks the business against other businesses in the industry. And at the premium tier, it benchmarks and also provides a dashboard of important KPIs to the business owner. The white label allows accountants, financial advisors the opportunity to provide this service for their clients as a white label feature with their branding, and can sell this service as their own. So competitive analysis, when I first started this, I thought that the accountants and QuickBooks were my competitors. And in a sense they are, but in a sense they're not. This service really complements them. Accountants, for the most part, are not serving the small and medium-sized business community or target market with this service. They're really just doing tax compliance. And QuickBooks offers a lot of reports and benchmarks, but our target market is just confused by all the reports. They don't know one from another. And they just, it's too daunting for them. It'll just lead to more questions. So the strength is there's nobody offering this service that I know of for our target market. But it's really a technological service. AI changes every day, and we really don't know where AI is going to go. So there's probably only inherent weakness to this. But our market position is that we're a distinctive service that uses AI to translate complex financial information, financial statements to business owners at a middle school level. So our budget projections, we really don't see ourselves getting started to October of this year. So we're projecting $324,000 of revenue. The MVP should be ready, I would say in May, in 2026 and 2027. With conservative growth models, revenue should be 2.6 million. In 2027, revenue should be 3.9 million. So here's our ask. This is what we would need. Our ask is for $500,000. Out of that $500,000, $200,000 that would go towards software development. Another $150,000 that would go towards marketing and our different marketing channels. $100,000 would go to operations, include hiring a chief AI officer, and another $50,000 for contingency. Our marketing mix would include LinkedIn and Google Ads, different accounting newsletters, and obviously SEO, and some mix of podcasts in there. And lastly, about me, who am I? I'm Thaddeus Hubbard. I have 25 years of expertise in accounting, financial analysis, and strategic planning. I'm a startup mentor with Innovation Works. We're based in Baltimore. We guide early stage founders and social entrepreneurs on financial strategy and growth. Right now, I'm mentoring, I believe, 5 companies in various capacity. Have a BA in economics from the University of Maryland, College Park, and an MBA from the University of Baltimore. And that is my pitch.
Thanks, Thaddeus. Okay, you can stop sharing. Just FYI, if we were keeping time, you would have been in deep doo-doo, as they say.
What, that was like 6 minutes?
7 and a half.
7. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had said 4. So we wouldn't have gotten through
half
the majority.
Of it. Right,
yeah.
Right.
So that,
and,
yeah.
I had practiced getting it to 4, and I had gotten to 4, but started ad-libbing.
Yeah. All right. Well,
right.
here's
I was just telling somebody, if you are pitching for money and you're saying you're going to do all these things and you can't stay within your time limit, you kind of already failed the first test. So I understand that.
That's true too. Okay. So some feedback for you, obviously, with the understanding that this is your first deck, your first pit, all that kind of stuff, which is fine. I think you've got the bones of it, but I think it needs some work. So here's some feedback on the deck itself. And we were talking about using My Next Raise before others joined. There is a pitch deck creator in My Next Raise. I highly recommend you use it. Your slides were very, very text heavy, 90% of the time. We need
Okay.
way less text, way more graphic, way more sort of just punch of the numbers that are important. For example, on your problem slide, one of the things you're talking about, that 40% number and that 82% number,
Mm-hmm.
those are great statistics. That just needs to be front and center, like in big, large. So you just have to go back through the whole deck, see if the pitch deck creator within My Next Raise is helpful in terms of giving you design the slides that you can then plug in numbers and text, but way too text heavy.
Okay.
I think your problem, you ran over time because I think you were repetitive in repeating the problem over and over and over again. I get the problem. That makes sense to me. Small, medium-sized businesses don't have an understanding of financial statements. I love that you include the idea of sort of at a middle school level, like everybody's gonna have a basic understanding. But I think you spent a little too much time talking about it. I think it would be nice to add more data on like the 82% they fail because they don't have. Well, how many people, if it's out there, or maybe you'd conduct your own survey of your target market, how many people do have or don't have an understanding of financial statement at least a middle school level? If there's any way to sort of get that data point, I think that would be really helpful. Your market opportunity slide, you talked more about the problem, not the market opportunity. The market opportunity are numbers. How many in your target group of small and medium-sized businesses that you think fit within your target market? What's your TAM, SAM, SUM, right? Total addressable. That's what the market opportunity was. You used it as an opportunity to talk about the problem again. So that slide you need to redo altogether. On your competition slide, you're basically, I see that you have the accountant and all that kind of stuff, but you're basically saying you don't have any competition. And I kind of find that hard to believe. So I would do more of a graphic on competition with QuickBooks and some of these there's so many financial analysis tech platforms for small and medium-sized businesses. There just are. The fact that they may not do exactly what you're doing, or maybe you're sort of an add-on piece to them, okay. But I think you need to do a little bit better job of characterizing the competition and give me a visual as to what your value proposition is and where you sit along the continuum of who's out there. So I would redo that one as well. Then lastly, well, not lastly, a couple more things. The how, like I know you're working on the MVP, but if you have screenshot, like I really would like to understand how you're going to do this. You talked a lot about the problem and a lot about the solution, but I don't know how. How are you going to allow me using AI? Like, what's it going to look like? Like, show me a little bit if you can. And if not, then tell me a little bit about the product. Like, you haven't told me anything about the product itself and how it's going to achieve that goal. Your team, you talked about that's great. Is it only you? If it is only you, then you want to be able to show maybe some advisors or something else to show, like, how are you going to achieve this if it's only you? You're raising 500K. Investors are going to want to see a little bit more of a team. So even if it's just getting an advisor or some mentors or somebody else to sort of add to that. Talk a little bit more about was there a specific problem? How did you come across this problem in your years of accounting? Like the why. Well, why are you doing this is missing. Sort of personalize it a little bit. And then two more things, and then I'll open up to other feedback. You say in 2025, you put like 300K plus in revenue, but your MVP isn't launching until May. Your projections just seem like, how on earth did you get to these numbers? And why on earth should I believe what you're saying when you haven't even gotten an MVP out and it's not? So in half a year, you're going to get you're going to enter the market and get to 300K plus in revenue is basically what you're telling me. So
Okay.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
So
Okay.
give me some assumptions of where, why you think that's the case. Otherwise, they're just, meaningless. And then
Okay.
lastly, on the ask for the 500K,
Mhm.
the use of funds that you described is the typical use of funds. And there's nothing wrong with that. I personally, as an investor, like to understand, instead of how you're going to use the money, what milestones are you going to reach with the money? So do you
Okay.
need the money to actually complete the MVP? Do you need the money to market the MVP? You said 300K plus. With the money, these are the things that you're going to accomplish. X number of users, launch the MVP, get, customer discovery, like whatever it is. But I personally would rather see milestones achieved than use of funds.
Okay.
Or at least some combination of the two.
Okay. Okay. Could that be on one slide or separate
Yeah,
slide?
it could be on one side. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So I think you've got the makings. It sounds like a really interesting solution and probably something that is valuable and needed in the market. I just think you need to streamline, give me a little bit more on the how you're going to do it, right? The slides themselves need to be better designed, less text heavy, more powerful on the graphics. And then on the projection side, if you're going to do something like that, you need to at least explain a little bit more about how you're going to get there.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I'll open it up to Natalia Delorme. Do you guys have any feedback for Thaddeus?
I loved how you kind of took your time, even though you went over time, but you were very verbal and clear with your word choice. So it wasn't like I tend to get nervous and speed up in my talking. So for you, it sounded that your like pronunciation and like your conviction was out there. And so I really appreciate that, because it seemed that you were really confident in what you're saying. So I like that a lot. Even though you kind of brushed on like certain things, I was still able to understand most of it. So you also, I think, articulated well your thoughts, but now it's like be more succinct, like that you have a good base. Now just make sure that, as Lisa gave you feedback on that, just make sure that you shorten that and become less repetitive.
Okay. Thank you.
That's great feedback. Yep.
I would add that about the visuals. So there were visuals, but they were not serving the purpose in some of the cases. For example, the slide about the ask. So there is a like pie chart, and there are colors and numbers, but what it was for, like instead of you telling them or repeating, why don't you just put the number? Let's say if you were going to use this, let's say 200K for software development, the software development should be there, the writing. So I don't have to look for color, match the color in the bottom, and then read what it was. So they should do the talking more than you do. Like when I look at the slide, I should get most of the information just looking at the visuals.
Okay. Thank you.
Great feedback. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you, Thaddeus. Thanks for being here. Hope you'll stick around and hear Natalia's pitch and offer your advice to her. So Natalia, with that, whenever you're ready, go ahead and share your screen and feel free to get started.
So I'm going to share my screen. Can you see me and clicking from one slide to the other?
Yep. Looks great.
Perfect. So
whenever you're ready.
Okay. So hello, everyone who is here and who's watching. I'm Natalia Ramirez, and I'm the CEO of Early Intervention Systems. I co-founded a communication platform for healthcare employees and senior living employees called Juni. But I started off with a personal story. My grandmother had private caregivers who could not communicate effectively between shift to shifts, and this led to a misdiagnosis that eventually led to her death. From a personal experience, seeing how this ineffective communication caused my grandmother to not be with us anymore, I passionately went and did some research study as a biophysicist myself who was trying to go into the healthcare workforce. I learned that 56% of caregivers are immigrants with limited English proficiency, so this creates a lot of language barriers for them to communicate effectively. The market demand in the world, but specifically starting in the US, is expected to double by 2050. So there's a huge market opportunity in terms of the elder care sector. But there's also a technology demand because a lot of the not just home care providers, but also this elder care communities and healthcare communities have shown that there's poor EHR usability, low compliance. In fact, industry standards of using any technology in senior living or healthcare is 50% of less. So this is why I'm passionate to introduce Junie. In terms of the problem that we're seeing today in the US is that organizations are spending $12 billion annually on poor shift-to-shift communication. This shift-to-shift handoffs involved minimal to no communication because of multilingual diversity, because of low compliance and education in how they're documenting and communicating with one another. So Junie is actually this communication platform that seamlessly is able to help users with handoffs, whether they have a 30-minute in-person handoff where they are overworked or burned out and they cannot communicate well, we can deliver that through 1 minute to 2 minutes of communication exchange from shift to shift. So I want you to picture this. You have a caregiver in the AM shift who only speaks Spanish, for example, and they document everything using Junie in their preferred language. Over the shift, the next person, for example, someone like Mary Jean, who only speaks Creole, she can sign in into Junie, listen or read this information that Antonia in the previous shift documented in Spanish, but she can read it in her own language like Creole, or it can be centralized all in one language like English for lack of streamlining communication. However, what's unique about Junie is that it has read and sign accountability purposes. So it not just makes sure that like communicates from one system to another or from one shift to another, but it also tracks the compliance and the usability. So it's not just like a ticketing system. It actually makes sure that the person does what they're supposed to be doing. In terms of our go-to-market and healthcare market size, we have approached customers in the senior living industry. So that's our niche to start off with. We have built up a network of over 200 senior living communities so far over the past year and a half by attending conferences, trade shows, by talking about our services with the organizations that we worked with before in the healthcare and the senior living space. And from their feedback, we've been able to create a 3.3 million serviceable obtainable market that we can realistically believe to expand within the next 4 years for a total TAM within elder and healthcare target markets of $27 billion. In terms of our price point, we would start charging $12 per bed per month on our B2B SaaS model. So that's how we would go to market. But I want you guys to kind of picture what their day-to-day is right now and why we believe Junie would be a great fit in these industries. First, we have non-HIPAA communication tools that exist. In 2025, we have verbal exchange that it's not standardized whatsoever, and there's no way of tracking those. There's walkie-talkies that are pretty invasive and pretty loud for some of these facilities when they have so much noise around them, or manual logs that are not compelling for those non-native English speakers, and they don't get read ever. So it's hard to keep track of what's actually being done and what's being said. But we actually compete with people like WhatsApp and iMessage group chats who are not HIPAA modern messaging platforms specifically designed for elder care or healthcare. So what we end up with is Huku.ai, Tiger Connect, or those platforms where they are used for messaging in one industry or another, but they have many gaps. For example, Tiger Connect only deals with medical providers or nurses, so all the clinical stuff. Huku.ai only deals with skilled nursing. For EIS, we do cleaning, we do clinical, we do non-clinical, but we focus on that non-clinical relevant information that can lead to a negative health outcome. And finishing up with our traction right now, we've secured 4 paying customers on their multi-year revenue contracts. We've also collected so many data points to start creating really personalized and custom predictive learning algorithms to make sure that our customers are getting most of their ROI for what they're paying. We are also expanding, so we have 4 verbal major agreements that will be able to get us for a $1.3 million in revenue within the next year, and that's what we're actually currently targeting a pre-seed of 500K, which I'll explain in a second. But I come from a background of healthcare biophysics prediction, and my co-founders both have experience in hospitals or business strategy in the senior living and healthcare. We also have advisors in the senior living industry, which are top operators in the space. In fact, they run some of the largest senior living organizations right now in the United States, and they've given us so much feedback to enter the market. Lastly, we are fundraising at 500K with 240K committed, 40Ks from New Era Ventures. We also have some angel networks here, and we will be able to use this funding to capitalize on that $1.3 million that we have committed right now of verbal agreements, and to keep increasing our sales pipeline from by attending some conferences for the rest of the year, which we have already targeted and know that we will be attending. Thank you so much for your time. And we aim to be the first communication platform that tracks management, but also guarantees compliance and reduces negative health outcomes for elders in the United States. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Natalia. Good job. You were also at 7 minutes. So it's really good that it was only the 2 of you guys today, because nobody did a very good job on time. Okay, so really nicely done. And it's funny that your compliment to Thaddeus is my biggest issue with your pitch, which is you talk way too fast, which you acknowledged when you complimented Thaddeus on his pace. I couldn't keep up with you. My brain, between listening to you and reading your slides, because your slides are beautiful, but several of them were also too text heavy. So between trying to listen to you and looking at your slides and reading the slides, and you're speaking so fast, I missed a lot of stuff. So you have to find ways of practicing to really, really, really slow down. Which means you're going to have to streamline your pitch if you have less time, because that was talking fast and 7 minutes.
I do have a pitch that's 10 minutes long tomorrow, so that's why I was also using this opportunity to go over this one. But yes, I would normally more slides, less text, and I do know that I'm a fast talker, which is why I admire you, Thaddeus, for that.
Exactly.
I can't be like you.
Yes, exactly. So I loved how you opened with the personal story. With your grandma. I think that always opening with a personal story of your connection and why you're doing what you're doing is always important and hooks people in right away. I thought, based upon your personal story, though, it was a language to communicate with the senior citizen versus shift change. So just be careful in terms of when you're telling that personal story, not to, I had to redirect my attention, because I thought that you were about to describe sort of a language thing for dealing with the patient or the client themselves versus shift change. But I definitely liked how you opened with that story. I think you need more data on the shift change problem, whether it's in hospitals or in elder care facilities, to be able to then speak to more of the ROI of what these facilities can expect by using a platform like Junie. So lay that out a little bit clearer with some sort of big numbers of what's lost in terms of healthcare outcomes, burnout from staff, time, expediency, misinformation, like sort of lay out a little bit clearer and stronger, and then sort of match it with what ROI is. And then $12 per patient, basically. You said $12 per bed. Is that right?
Yeah, we're starting with a SaaS per bed per month, but we're going to be switching that into a flat fee for the medium to large organizations.
Okay. So I think you only said that. I don't remember actually seeing it. So maybe in somewhere you have a slide of what your business model is with that. And then when you went over your TAM SAM sum, it was a little confusing. I wasn't sure, like, are you only going after senior living homes? Are you going after hospitals too? You know, anywhere with the shift change? Like, what about even in private agencies? Like my parents, for example, they're 80, they live in an independent living community, but they have basically, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. care, often with shift changes there. So their agency, they have to report things. So maybe the agencies can also use something like this. So just sort of maybe thinking about your TAM SAM sum a little bit more. And then lastly, I can't remember which slide it was, if it was your traction slide or whatever, maybe it was the team slide. I would talk a little bit more about you and your team. You sort of flew by it really quickly. But in the upper right-hand corner, you had like a backed by, and you had Techstars and a bunch of other logos. So are you a Techstars company, and the other logos are, so that needs to be like front and center,
Okay.
because that just lends immediate, or at least the Techstars piece. I don't know what the others are, but I would make that bolder and more front and center. Is that the investment that you've gotten already? Like, what does backed by mean? But I would bring that out more forward.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, I'd really flustered because I'm sure I had been over the 4-minute mark. So it's just like,
Yes, exactly. But generally, it sounds super interesting. I thought your slides were designed very well. Again, sort of a few of them were still too text heavy, and a few maybe need to be flushed out. But without talking too fast, the story and the cadence that you followed, sort of the order of which you followed, made a lot of sense to me. And then same thing on your ask slide, just again, like what milestones are going to be reached. Your traction helped explain that. Like, okay, I can see that. Looks like she's got a good pipeline. Maybe just value, like current, like just in addition to what you said, but in very clear up top, like current revenue, right? And then the value of the pipeline, because you said LOI here and this here and that there, but sort of what's the value of the pipeline for 2025 and 2026?
okay, I love that. Thank you so much. I did saying that to Tadeo, so it's like, oops, I had done the same mistake. So I'm sure to change that too.
No worries at all, but very, very nicely done. And I'll open up to Delorem and Thaddeus for more feedback.
I can go. So Lisa, you must have planned this. You had my deck, and then her deck. Your deck was awesome. I really what Lisa said was in yours, and I got to, instead of see it and you talk about it, and it's like that all makes perfect sense. It flows. It was very good. I think it's a great idea. I'm kind of with Lisa when you talked about the handoff, and then we kind of got away from the language barrier handoff. But I know I worked at a mental hospital, CFO at a mental hospital, state mental hospital. So I've seen the struggles that we've had with shift change and not documenting everything. And this document is government, so it's on paper. And if you remember to put it on paper, you may not remember to put it on paper. So, but I do have a question. Is it just the software you're offering, or are you offering the devices as well?
It's just the software, because they
Just
can
the
log
software.
from any mobile device.
Okay.
That's a great point, though, Thaddeus. That's a great point.
Because I saw the I guess the iPad or whatever that was, tablet, and I didn't know whether it was.
I didn't make the emphasis, but thank you. I'll make sure to put that in.
Okay. I think it's a great idea. To Lisa's point, you had mentioned your pipeline of money, but I couldn't really follow it. I couldn't really see it. You had talked about, or maybe somewhere there were maybe 2 contracts or 2 verbal agreements, and you had maybe, something else. So if we could see that. But other than that, I thought it was great. I think it's a great idea, and I know it's well needed because where I used to work, we could have used it. So very good job. It was very impressive.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Thaddeus. Great feedback. Delorme, anything to add?
There was one point where I wasn't. I thought it wasn't very clear when you were explaining the problem of burnout and how it's inefficient or like companies losing money on that. I didn't see a lot of quantifying, like, burnout is like in what numbers, like what does it mean? If we can quantify that, that would be more convincing. But overall, very good presentation. I like the idea, and you're presenting it. And again, as Lisa said, at the end, I saw the text stars. I couldn't see the other parts because there's like the user icon covering it. So that should be emphasized, in my opinion, and that tells a lot. Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, excellent. All right. Well, thank you guys both for participating today. I'm glad we had a small room and you had lots of good feedback from everybody. Feel free to come back anytime. We have many folks that have come back, multiple times and really hone in on their pitch. So you're welcome back anytime, both as presenters. Delorme, you presented last month, I believe, and here you're giving feedback. So we love that community building and invite everybody back on a regular basis. So thank you all for being here today. I hope you found it useful.
I definitely did. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you very much.
Awesome. My pleasure. Hope to see you at another event.
Okay.
Yeah.
See you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.